Hey everybody, Pocket Doc at Dark Angel Medical. This is a continuing portion of our online training, and today we're going to talk about wound packing. What I've got with me right now is the Focus Research Wound Cube. It has 4 different wounds in here, and one we're going to be packing into. You can see different wounds on here that one can pack and utilize different types of pressure dressings, things like that on, and hemostatics, you can try them out. But you notice there's going to be different wound characteristics, different wounding patterns to these things. So what we're going to do today is utilize one of these wound cubes along with a pack of inert combat gauze, training gauze, and a pressure bandage here. Also got a pair of nitrile gloves as well. Why do we want to pack a wound? Well, why we want to pack a wound is to utilize a hemostatic agent to put into this wound to stop any kind of life-threatening bleeding. And where would we pack a wound? We would typically pack a wound in what we call the junctional areas of the body, which is to say the junction where the neck and the shoulders meet, up under the armpits, and down here in the groin region. Areas that we can't put a tourniquet on. So that's what we're looking for initially, is areas that we can't put a tourniquet in, not amenable to tourniquet use. So that's where we're going to put this wound packing material into. Now, if you did tourniquet a limb and you determine later that within a 2-hour period that limb is could be, you could utilize a hemostatic agent and pressure dressing. That's called a tourniquet conversion, and that's something that we get into in class. And again, this training is by no means a substitute for class. It's just to familiarize you with certain components of your med kit and why we use what we use. Now, let's get into it real quick. So, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see somebody with a bleed there. I'm gonna see a victim with a bleed. I'm gonna go ahead and get my gloves on because I want to protect myself first. Make sure that scene is safe. Make sure everything around me is safe. Make sure I'm not going to become a casualty while I'm trying to take care of a casualty. Next thing I'm going to do is get out my, have somebody activate 911 or emergency services if they can. Get my wound dressing or my hemostatic dressing out. I like to take it out of the packet. Some people do, some people don't. That's just me. First thing I'm going to do is I'm identify the bleed. I'm going to go ahead and probe the wound gently with a finger and make sure there's no shrapnel or bone tissue. It's going to hurt me as well, or the patient. Now, if I've got that finger against the wound, I'm going to feel the bleeding more than likely, especially if it's an arterial bleed. I can actually feel that blood pulse against my finger. Now, what I'm going to do during that time, be careful because it can spray out on you as well. I'm going to go ahead and get my packing material. I'm going to form a nice initial pack, like a little ball. You can see that there, little wad of it right there. And I'm going to go down into the wound, and I'm going to hold pressure. I'm going to get it down to the source of the bleed. Okay, I'm going to hold pressure on there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start feeding it to it, like a sewing machine method. Just a small amount of gauze, 2 to 3 inches at a time. And think of it like this. When I say sewing machine method, this is my needle, this is the thread, and this is my bobbin. This is the cassette that holds that thread. So I'm just going to be relinquishing pressure just long enough to get that dressing applied into the wound. And what I'm going to keep doing is make sure I have good, solid, consistent, direct pressure on this until I get this wound completely packed, because that's going to be your key. Is good, solid, consistent, direct pressure. Now let's just say I've got this wound completely packed. No more material is going in here. I'm going to then utilize the rest, put on the outside, hold pressure down there for the recommended time. That's 2 to 3 minutes for quick clot. And then once that time is expired, I'll look around the edges, make sure it's not re-bleeding. And then at that point in time, I'll get my pressure bandage out and reinforce with that pressure bandage. Always, always, always reinforce any kind of hemostatic agent with a pressure dressing. And that way it'll help hold that nice, big, tenacious clot down in there and hold that pressure circumferentially in that little wound cavity, that wound bowl. That's your key to success with using a hemostatic agent. Good, consistent, direct pressure, and making sure you reinforce it with a pressure dressing. Training is another big key to success with this stuff, because just because you have it doesn't mean it's going to work in a situation when you need it to. For more information, look us up at darkangelmedical.com. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com. Get signed up for a class, get a kit, learn how to use it, carry it with you everywhere. Stay safe.